Alright, so on this one we're going to go ahead and correct our redeem price. We want to get out the bond port master here, and then we're going to come over to our bonds tab and do a little bit of work. I don't want the video to get too long, so we may not finish it. Alright, so let's go to our redeem price, and all we got to do is come in here and we're going to get rid of the brackets. So it's NS Curve Bang because that's the name of the tab, and we've created it in such a way that all of our references are still working. And I mentioned this before, but I think it deserves being mentioned again. When you link files together, it can really slow down your system. In some cases it's a great idea because you can get multiple things to update. In other cases it's not a very good idea because you're relying on two independent spreadsheets that have access by probably two or more independent people, and therefore can create some issues associated with it. Our number is going to fluctuate a little bit here because I ran an optimization on the NS curve, and it changed the parameters. That's fine for what this sheet's going to be used for in terms of setting our hedge. And as you go through this, if you haven't read in detail the bond hedge white paper that comes from the CME group, you might want to print that guy out and look at it in a lot of detail so you kind of understand what the objective is. Alright, so that should be correct. Now I can go ahead and drag this one down, and now I can go ahead and drag this one down and adjust all of our numbers. All that's happened here is it's gotten crazy on the percentages. I want to see if I can format my cells. Number, just 2 decimal places. Okay. I want to put a line and a line. Alright, so that's our redeem price adjusted. You know you have a problem if you open your file and it says, do you want me to update links? At that point you still have links. You want to find out where the links are and delete them. Okay, now we're going to go to bonds. Now one of the things that we want to do in bonds is allow for a change in yield to maturity. So, and I want to note here that as I enter these values, a lot of them are going to be graded equations. I figured rather than have you recreate this sheet with all the things highlighted for grading, you're just going to have to follow along and make sure you get things in the proper location. So this is the basis points, and we're just going to enter a number here. I'm going to say 9. So that's 9 basis points that we're going to move. And then of course 9 basis points, and we divide it by 100 squared. And then we're going to make that in terms of percentage and add some decimal places to it. So that's my 9 basis points that I'm going to move. Now I want to go ahead and insert a column, and this is going to be my YTM adjust. So what here I want to do is say that this is equal to my underlying yield to maturity plus whatever basis point change. I'm going to hit F4 to lock that in, and this represents what we call a parallel shift to the yield curve, meaning the yield curve goes up by 9 basis points or it goes down by 9 basis points, but the structure of the yield curve remains constant. It doesn't move. It doesn't move at all. And parallel shifts are normal. A typical example of a parallel shift, the Fed comes in and says we're going to bump interest rates by 25 basis points. Well, that just means that the entire curve shifts directly up by 25 basis points. Equivalently, you might have a foreign country that's kind of major, like say Europe, and they say, well, we're going to adjust our federal fund or our funds rate, our interbank loan rate down by 5 basis points or 10 basis points, and that just shifts the entire yield curve down. So this is what I mean by parallel shifts. No change in the structure. It looks exactly like it did before. We just add or subtract the exact same amount from every point. All right, we're going to add another column in here. This price is going to be my base price. And now this is going to be my calculated price. And there's going to be a significant difference here because this base price I read off, right? We went to the website and said this is what the price is. The price that's listed there incorporates different fees associated with trading an underlying bond. Bid-ask spreads, other things are there. Now, our calculated price that we're going to be doing here is the clean price associated with the bond, which can become variable. So what we're going to do is use the PV equation, and it's cash outflow, so we have a negative PV. And then we're going to pick our adjusted yield and divide that by 2, comma. And then what we're going to look for is the number of periods that we're interested in. So that's going to be 2 multiplied by the quantity of my maturity. Oh, I hate when it does that. I want to pick maturity, but I can't. Let me, it's just going to be I5, so I'll just type it in. I5. And then I'm going to subtract from that my start date of the bond and put F4 to lock that in. So those are the number of periods that are left. Of course, we got to divide it by 365. And then I want my coupon rate times my face value. And we're going to divide that by 2 because those are the periodic payments that we're getting at. And then I need my coupon rate entered in. I'm sorry, the final value, F5. And then comma 0, which just tells it that it's a standard annuity, not an annuity due. And our value should be relatively close. So it's $1,298 versus $1,306. And that's fairly reasonable, right? We have a slight adjustment to our yield curve from where we're starting out at because we're using a forecast value. I've added 9 basis points to it. Let me go ahead and set that to 0. And here we are, just super close to what we expect it to be. Let's add a couple of decimal points here. Open this up some, open this up some, and add a couple of decimal points. Now you're about to get a bit of a real world experience too. So what I'm going to do is drag this down. Put my line underneath here. And I want to kind of compare everybody's prices to make sure that everything is still appropriate. So 1,300, 1,300, 130, 130, 174, 167, $1,081, 1,228. That's a problem. And what is that problem? I mean, what can cause it? Well, one of the things is maybe I just entered the incorrect number. I'm not perfect. I copied it down wrong. That could be a problem. But there's something else that can go on here, and that's the bond itself can be called. So I'm going to go to my FINRA bond site, and we'll just take a little bit of time. We want our bond data. Maybe I want the Morningstar. There we go. Alright, click on my search. Let's get our bonds data. So this is going to be, the company is NBL. So let's take a look at it. Ticker symbol is NBL. So here's my list of bonds. My actual bond was 4275591. So here is 4275591. We'll click on that one. And what we can see is that the price is still about 108, and that's based on the 28th, so it doesn't look like I copied the number down wrong. What we can also see down here is that it's a callable bond. The call price is 102.94, and it's now callable, and the next call date is 12/1 of 2017. And what that means is that the bond price has gone up so much because it was issued at a higher interest rate that the company is going to buy that bond back from you. You have to sell it, and you have to sell it for a price of $1,029.40. We can also see here that the amount of outstanding debt is significantly lower, so they've been buying it back periodically. So now what we got to do is change from a yield to maturity to a yield to call. And what we're going to do is make a couple of quick changes. And if this happens to you, you just got to make changes associated with it. And I say this is a real world experience, because think if you just went through all this effort and you've picked this bond, let's say it was 5 years ago, and now this bond is getting called, you've got to figure out what you're going to do. You have to go out and find another bond to replace this one. You expected it to go for until 6/2022, and now it's maturing way sooner than what you thought it was going to do, so you just got to make the appropriate adjustments to it. Alright, so let's do this. So the first thing we do is change the call date, or the maturity date. Instead of 6/1/2022, it is now 12/01/2017. Okay, our yield to maturity hasn't changed, the coupon hasn't changed, but the face value changes. And that's because I'm going to get the call price. So now I'm at 1029.94. Alright, so now if you look at my price, I'm saying it should be worth $1,083.83. And in fact, if we look at the current value, 1,000, I mean, it's almost right on. Okay? So if that happens to you, make sure you go ahead and check your different bond prices. And then if you do have something that's got to be changed, just adjust it to the yield to call, and then we'll work through it from there. Note too that this is going to change the cash flow map, because instead of getting these cash flows when I expected to get them, they're going to come at a different rate, which is why we need to have the cash flow mapper in there. In addition, we're not going to do this for this project because it starts to increase the complexity. But as time goes forward, the cash flow map has to be continuously updated. And that's because, let's move forward 6 months from today. I've gotten a bunch of coupon payments. Those are gone. So, and now I got to figure out two things. What do I do with the coupon payments? And the answer is I go back and I buy the same bonds that are here in an order to try and maintain the duration target of the portfolio. So every time new cash comes in, we go out and we buy additional bonds, and we select those bonds so that we get the most bang for our buck, in other words, the most return from the bonds that we buy, but at the same time maintain a duration. So that gets a little more complex. Ingram Mickel's too many things, and anyway. Alright, so what I'm going to do now is just stop the video. When we come back, we will adjust this sheet further for using it to do the point hedging and the point leverage. And once we get that set up, we're going to go and start working on our user forms. All right, thank you very much, and see you shortly. Bye.